Mr. Speaker, mukhang mali at maling-mali ang pananaw ng aking kaibigang si Attorney Colmenares. Totoo po na lahat tayo rito ay pwedeng magsalita, pwedeng magtayo. Kung sakaling dumating ang pagkakataon during the period of amendment at sabihin ng kinatawan ng Caloocan, we want to include a change insofar as the political situation is concerned, definitely, there will be no division of the House. Iisa lamang po ang sasabihin ng mga veteranong mambabatas dito. Sasabihin nila, Congressman Erice, you are out of order. Sapagkat ang pinag-uusapan natin, yung lamang resolution pertaining to charter change on economic provisions. Kung merong resolution regarding change in the term limit, under our rules, dadalhin muna yan sa Committee on Constitutional Amendment. Doon pag-uusapan at pagkatapos doon, kung ma-approve, saka lamang dadalhin sa plenaryo. We are sending the wrong information to our countrymen.
Yes.
Hindi po pwede na sa discussion nitong charter change on economic provisions, magsisingi tayo ng isang provision which is not related to this subject matter of this House resolution. Siguro sa amendment, pwede nating sabihin, unless otherwise by law, na gamitin ito ng Kongreso within 5 years or 10 years. That is germane, that is related, that is relevant to the subject matter. But entirely a new provision for charter change outside of these economic provisions, the Speaker can rule it motu proprio out of order.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. In that case, even the majority leader may be wrong then.
No, he's not
but
wrong.
The distinguished sponsor didn't follow through his answer. Mr. Erice, Congressman Erice, you are out of order. But more than a majority of the members of this Congress say he is not out of order, his proposal is valid. Can the distinguished sponsor stop that? No. This Congress is ruled by votation. I don't think if majority of the members of this Congress will say Congressman Erice is not in order and his proposal is valid, that cannot be stopped by the distinguished sponsor, Mr. Speaker. But in any case, if the distinguished sponsor believes that he can assure, that is the prerogative of the distinguished sponsor. In our case, we do not see that assurance. There were statements made by the leadership in the House about the fact that political amendments will not be pursued during these economic provisions deliberations. However, there were also public statements by other members of this House who say otherwise. Kaya sa amin, it is not comforting. It is not comforting the assurances that a mere point of order will derail political amendments, especially since, Mr. Speaker, we believe this is a serious attempt. But be that as it may, Mr. Speaker, I do not think we will meet in any case here, and precisely because we are on the economic provisions. Commissioner Monsod, member of the Constitutional Commission, I heard him say this morning, that Chacha, do not tinker. He was advising members of Congress. If I heard him right, do not tinker with the economic provisions. He said, and I quote here, there are 4 or 5 requirements from the foreign investors. He said, better infrastructure, including, of course, other infrastructures such as roads, peace and order, eradication of corruption, and strong regulatory regime. What is the opinion of the distinguished sponsor with regards the comment of Commissioner Monsod, Mr. Speaker?
Mr. Speaker, could I request again my dear friend to restate the question?
Yes. There was a statement from a member of the Constitutional Commission which drafted the Constitution, the 1987 Constitution. He was disagreeing with moves to amend the Constitution. He said, what the foreign investors actually need and want is not those amendments in the Charter, he said. He said what they needed, they say, I'm not saying he's right or he's wrong, I'm just asking the sponsor what he thinks of this. They the foreign investors are saying that they would need infrastructure. They would need better peace and order. They would need the eradication of corruption. And they would need strong regulatory regime. And any of those amendments has no impact on corruption. It has no impact on peace and order at all. So he is practically saying that he's a useless, I mean, if I were to quote him, but that was the meaning that was that I interpreted it to be. He was saying that's not even necessary. I-eradicate mo yung corruption, gandahan mo ang peace and order, yung regulatory system mo naman may konting consistency, hindi yung papaling-paling ang regulatory regime mo, and of course, may infrastructure. What does the distinguished sponsor say of that comment from the member of the Constitutional Commission?
Well, the advocates of charter change have been always saying, have always been reminding and warning everybody that this charter change is not an instant cure to the problems of our country. It is not a silver bullet which will place our countrymen in a much better position. Charter change alone will not be sufficient to achieve all the necessary progress which we are envisioning in the country. But at the very least, we have to present an atmosphere, an economic climate which would be conducive to attract foreign investors. And aside from this charter change, based on the studies coming to World Bank Group, it is necessary that the host economy, they are considering the following factors. Of course, the host economy, market size and location, the availability of natural resources, macroeconomic performance, infrastructure quality, labor and production costs, quality of governance and institutions, and policies and regulations of host countries regarding foreign direct investment. And on top of that, we have to legislate those laws which are necessary and which would be needed by our foreign investors. We have to enact the antitrust or competition law. We must enact a law pertaining to fiscal incentives rationalization. There must be a law providing incentives for management and transparency. We have to enact the Consumer Protection Act, the Land Use Policy, the Freedom of Information Act, and the Whistleblowers Protection Act. We have also to make amendments to the Central Bank Charter, the Build, Operate, Transfer Law, the Cabotage Law, the EPIRA, the Sandigan Bayan Law, and the Witness Protection Act. This is not an instant remedy, but we have to start somewhere, and I think this change in the economic provision of our Constitution is a much-needed step in order that we can start the ball rolling so that our dream and aspiration of bringing progress to our country would be achieved.
Nabanggit niyo po ang IPIRA. Kaya nga kanina na pag-usapan natin, yung isang worry ng ating mga kababayan na maging sentro ang Kongreso ng various powerful and rich lobby groups. No? Yung IPIRA, nung pinasayan, dati, ang sabi, ito na, ang magpapababa ng presyo ng kuryente. Ano ang nangyari sa atin? Lalong tumaas ang presyo ng kuryente. Oil deregulation law, ito na, ang magpapababa ng presyo ng gasolina. Ito ang magpapaunlad sa atin. Ngayon, may sinasabi na naman tayo, this time not a law, but a charter change. At ang sabi natin, ito ang hindi panacea, but this will create jobs. This will create development. Kasi ito yung problema natin. Baka naman po mapapariwara tayo katulad nung nangyari doon sa IPIRA, doon sa oil deregulation law, at iba pang mga economic laws na pinasa natin na nagpapahirap palalo sa mamamayang Pilipino. Yun po ang concern dito. There is a promise, but there is no factual study of the outcome. In fact, the factual study of the outcome shows na pagbuksan mo ang ekonomiya mo, lalong masisira ang lokal na industriya, lokal na negosyo, mga magsasaka mo at mga agricultural products mo. Yun po ang concern dito sa ngayon.
Well, insofar as the PIRA law is concerned, of course, I have been always saying that laws are dynamic, they are always subject to change. In the event that we shall enact a law, and the desired purpose would not be achieved, then we have the power to amend, modify, or even repeal that law. It is always a work in progress. And therefore, if my dear colleague feels that there has to be amendments in the PIRA law, then we have to amend the law.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Let me add, for example, why we have to open public utilities to foreign ownership. Insofar as electricity is concerned, of course, we have been hearing that there will be brownouts in summer or next year. In the case of electricity, we need to increase our generation capacity to address the rising demand for power and to back up the country's growing economy with high quality and reliable energy supply. Nationwide, the expected capacity addition until 2030 is close to 13,000 megawatts, but only 1,800 megawatts has been committed. The country needs investment to improve its generation capacity. More investments are also needed to strengthen the transmission and distribution infrastructure and for the interconnection of the island grid. It is estimated that the aggregate investment opportunity is about $25 billion until 2013. And this is the sad part of the study. Electricity rates in the Philippines are said to be among the highest worldwide. It is ranked 9th highest in the world, siyam sa pinakamataas sa buong mundo, at pangalawang pinakamataas sa Asia next to Japan. The biggest component, 65% of the overall retail tariff, is the generation component. We need to address the scarcity of investment in renewable energy in order to reduce our dependence on imported fossil fuels that makes the cost of producing and delivering electricity high. The country needs resources to discover cheap domestic fossil fuel alternatives and newer efficient technologies. Yan po ang estado ng elektrisidad dito sa Pilipinas. Laging tumataas, laging may mga pass-on charges. And therefore, what remedy can we do? Considering that the investment necessary is $25 billion. Hindi pa dapat ibukas na natin ang electricity sa mga foreign investors. At nang sa ganon, kung magtataas ang Meralco, hindi natatakbo ang ating mga kaibigan sa Korte Suprema in order to suspend the increase.
Tama.
At lahat naman tayo gumagamit ng kuryente. What Filipino company can invest 25 billion pesos at $25 billion in order to increase our generation capacity?
Kaya po, if I may, Mr. Speaker, kaya tumaas po ang kuryente dahil pinrivatize ng gobyerno. There are certain public utilities that government should not let go, should not privatize. Kuryente, tubig, transportasyon, komunikasyon. These are utilities na dapat panghawakan. At because the government privatized it, kaya tumaas ang presyo ng kuryente. Ngayon, hindi lang siya ipaprivatize, i-liberalize pa, papasukin ang mga foreigners who don't care one whit about the Filipino people, but they want to earn profit. So public utilities does not focus anymore primarily on public service, but on profit, and public service is merely an afterthought. Yun po ang problema dyan. But be that as it may, do the proponents believe or think or even consider the fact that selling our public utilities to foreigners could also be a security problem? Couldn't it be possible that a certain country, like China for example, buying our public utilities here, pwede niyang padapain ang buong ekonomiya ng Pilipinas with one massive blackout? Hindi ba pwedeng ganun yun? Don't we consider not only the impact of foreign investors in our very important lifeblood, public utilities, but also the security implications, Mr. Speaker? Because now you're leaving it open to all Tom, Dick, and Harry to own your public utilities. Doesn't it forebode an ominous trend in our security aspect also, because now they will control the energy industry, Mr. Speaker?
Mr. Speaker, unang-una, iminumungkahi ng ating kaibigang kinatawan na wag na nating i-privatize ang electricity, ibigay na natin ulit sa pamahalaan. But the hard truth, Mr. Speaker, is that normally the government should not engage in business. And secondly, insofar as those private enterprises being run by the government, kahit na madali ang kanilang trabaho, pinatatakbo ng gobyerno, sad to state, the results are very discouraging. Number 3, definitely, whether it is a foreign investor, whether it is a local investor, it is always subject to abuse. As a matter of fact, my colleague, Attorney Colmenares, that our local provider for electricity, Meralco, is a local corporation, and yet it is allegedly abusing its powers, and that is the reason why the group of Congressman Colmenares filed a case against Meralco before the Supreme Court. And definitely, anybody can make abuses, Filipinos or foreigners. But that does not mean that in the event there will be abuse, there will be no remedy. Restrictions and other provisions can be provided under the law, and of course, we have the inherent power of the Supreme Court to make a judicial review insofar as any action of any person, any agency, any corporation, be it domestic or foreign, to take the necessary ruling and remedy.
Napag-usapan na po natin kanina na yung restrictions, it's neither here nor there in a sense. Kasi we don't know. Napag-usapan na natin kanina na pwedeng meron, pero pwede rin walang restriction. So hindi na siya factor actually. We cannot predict what the future Congresses will do. But the question remains, Mr. Speaker, the sponsors, sa tingin nyo ba may security implications din na dapat ikonsidera ang pagbenta ng public utilities sa mga foreigners dito sa Pilipinas, lalo na may mga issues tayo ngayong kinakaharap. Yun lang naman, is there a possibility na may security implications din ito na dapat ikonsidera ng future Congress?
Well, it depends upon the future Congress. And I'm sure, assuming, and I believe that they will have the necessary wisdom to take into consideration national interest, most especially if the security of the nation is concerned. Huwag nating isipin na yung susunod na mga kinantawan sa atin ay walang pagmamahal sa ating bayan at hindi pangangalagaan ang interest ng ating bansa. I think we are making the wrong assumption here.
So, ang sagot po ng sponsor is yes, there may be security implications, but the future Congress will make sure that there are restrictions in the law that will avoid such security implications. Tama po ba ako?
Definitely. And there are even security implications even if the one managing the electricity in our country happens to be a Filipino corporation. In both cases, the security risk is there.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Una, I don't know where the $25 billion study came from. Maybe I'll ask for that study. But I've seen generation companies, they don't need $25 billion to put up a generation plant. No? And secondly, there are certain government not involved in business. France is government-owned yung energy nila. 80% is owned by the French government. And one of the lowest in the world. So, hindi foregone conclusion na porket gobyernong namamahala dyan, incompetent na yan, inefficient na yan. And in any case, kahit pa incompetent, the solution is to trim down the inefficiency and the incompetency, punish the corrupt, rather than ang solusyon, isell na natin sa foreigners. Pero pupunta na po ako sa gist nitong aking interpellation, specific provisions. Ang problema po dito ng sponsors is this. The Constitution seems to have a framework. It seems to have a framework na meron siya talagang mga restrictions at sabi nga ng distinguished sponsor, may bias siya in favor of Filipinos. No? Parang may ganun, basa ko dito sa philosophy. Ang problema dito sa mga unless otherwise provided by law, does this not counter the philosophy, the intent of certain provisions dito na huwag buksan ang certain portions ng ekonomiya na hindi pwedeng unless otherwise ng Kongreso ang konstitusyon. For example, meron naman dyan, halimbawa, political dynasties are prohibited sa Pilipinas, but of course, they will be provided by law. Pwede naman yan. Congress will provide a law to define political dynasty, but not to otherwise political dynasty. Ibig sabihin, Congress cannot pass a law saying ang political dynasty hindi na bawal. Ipapatupad ng Kongreso ang pilosopiya ng konstitusyon with regards dynasties. Ngayon, ang unless otherwise provided by law, medyo babangga siya sa pilosopiya kasi. Yun ang problema dito. For example, Section 11, sabi natin, no franchise certificate or any other form of authorization for the operation of public utility shall be granted except to citizens of the Philippines or to corporations or associations organized under the law of the Philippines, at least 60% of whose capital is owned by such citizens unless otherwise provided by law. Nor shall such franchise certificate or authorization be exclusive in character. Ibig sabihin, ang Congress has an option later to say, hindi, 100% foreign-owned or 90% foreign-owned yung public utility na yan. Next slide, please. Ang dugtong pa dito sa Section 11, the state shall encourage equity participation in public utilities by general public. Yan ang kanyang filosofiya. Ito na ngayon ang proposed amendments ng sponsors. Unless otherwise provided by law, the participation of foreign investors in the governing body of any public utility shall be limited to the proportionate share in its capital. Ang ibig sabihin ng konstitusyon, ang iyong participation, foreigner ka, transnational ka, siyempre, kung 40% ang iyong share sa equity, therefore, 40% lang ang iyong participation doon sa governing body. Ang problema dito sa unless otherwise provided by law at sa intensyong bubuksan nito, ano po ang ibig nyo sabihin dyan? I'd like to ask first, anong ibig sabihin ng unless otherwise provided by law? Parang disagree kayo na ang participation ng foreign investors shall be limited to their proportionate share in its capital?
Unang-una, Mr. Speaker, dapat po nating isipin na ang saligang batas is not always permanent. Inasmuch as it is a creation of man, it is always subject to change. Because it is possible that there might be errors in the future or the provisions would no longer applicable at the conditions existing at the time the enactment of the Constitution. Sinasabi po ng saligang batas na pwede itong baguhin at nakalagay ang pagbabago rito. In other words, yung mga provision na binanggit ng aking kaibigan, karapatan natin na baguhin yan. As a matter of fact, kung ang nakalagay dyan ay 60-40, palagay ko hindi naman tututol at aminin ng aking kaibigan na pwede nating gawing 70-30 basta na ilagay natin yung unless otherwise provided by law.
Ang tanong ko
All
lang,
provisions of the Constitution, Mr. Speaker, can be changed, except if we shall be changing those provisions which are against the internationally accepted norm na yung tinatawag nating jus cogens. Kaya yung provision na yan, Section 11, pwede nating tanggalin yan. Huwag na nating ilagay yung unless otherwise provided by law, we remove the entire Section 11. At as
Salamat.
long as we comply with the process provided for under the Constitution, we can do that. We can overhaul the provisions of the Constitution as long as the overhauling, as long as the change is in accordance with the manner provided for in the Constitution. Ang pinupunto po ng ating kaibigan, hindi natin pwedeng baguhin yang Article 12. Hindi natin pwedeng ilagay unless otherwise provided by law. I would say, and I think he would agree, as long as the amendatory process is in accordance with Article 17, then the entire Article 12, Section 3 could be removed.
thank you, Mr. Speaker. Linawin ko lang ang tanong. Mukhang hindi nakuha, na-deliver ko ang message right.
Baka ho, hindi nakuha ang sagot ko.
Ang nakalagay po sa Constitution, ito po ang tanong ko. Sabi sa Constitution, the participation of foreign investors in the governing body of any public utility enterprise shall be limited to their proportionate share.
Na-insert ang unless otherwise provided by law. At ang sabi ko po, hindi lamang yan ang ating kapangyarihan. Basta sinunod natin ang tinatadhana ng saligang batas para sa pag-amenda nito, pwede nating alisin yung entire provision na yan. At the state up to doon sa each capital, we can remove that. Because we can change any provision in the Constitution. Dito, hindi natin pinapalitan ang entire Section 11, nilalagyan lamang natin ng unless otherwise provided by law. Yun po ang sagot ko.
Thank you,
Kung
Mr.
may
Speaker.
karapatan tayong ilagay ang unless provided by law, we have also the right to remove the entire provision or any article in the Constitution except those provisions which are considered under international law as jus cogens.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, salamat. Pero ang participation ng foreign investor sa governing body is proportionate to his share in capital. Ang 30% na share niya, 30% din ang participation niya sa governing body. Is there something wrong with that? No. Kung 40% ang share niya, di 40% din ang share niya sa governing body. Is there anything unjust there? No. What the proponents would like to say is this: 10% lang ang share niya sa capital, pero 100% yung participation niya sa governing body. Is that correct? Why are we going to amend that provision, Mr. Speaker? The question is, what is wrong specifically with that provision, Mr. Speaker?
Well, yes, it's very clear. It is limited only to their proportionate share.
But you want to change it.
No. Let me put this way. Let me complete my answer. What would be the proportionate share? What would be the maximum proportionate share of a foreign company insofar as public utilities are concerned?
100%.
100%.
Yes.
O if it's 100%, it's 100%.
But
We can
that is
lower it to
already
80%.
But
If
that
we-
is already provided there, Mr. Speaker. If yes, 100%, yes, 100% share of the governing body. So why change that? Kung may 100% na siya ng share ng capital, di 100% ang share niya sa governing body, what's wrong with that? Bakit niyo gustong palitan yan? Parang ibig niyo sabihin, kahit 10% lang share niya sa capital, siya ang 100% na mag-control ng governing body? I don't agree with that, Mr. Speaker. I don't think any one of us will agree to that. Why should we allow foreigners to control the governing body of our public utilities when in fact 10% lang ang share niya sa capital? I don't see anything wrong with that provision. So why are we even amending that, Mr. Speaker?
Based on the technical report which has been provided to me, this, unless otherwise provided by law, is necessary for consistency. Inasmuch as in most of the provisions, it is 60% Filipino-owned and 40% for foreigner. In other words, we want to maintain to remove the 60-40 requirement. And that's the reason why we have included the phrase unless otherwise provided by law.
But it has already been removed, Mr. Speaker, doon kanina, ang 60-40 unless otherwise provided by law. Presuming, Congress passes a law, 100% na ang pwedeng i-capital ng foreign investor sa public utility. May masama ba doon sa provision na yan? Kasing sinasabi, ang partisipasyon mo sa governing body, pag 100%, di 100% din. What's wrong with that? Why are we even changing that? Kasi naka-provide na yun sa previous paragraph na ang 60-40 pwedeng maging 100%. So even if you delete that, hindi maapektuhan kasi pagpayagan mo na ang foreigner na mag-own ng 100%, ang ibig sabihin dyan, sa parte na yan, he will also own the participation sa governing body na 100% din. Ang problema kasi dyan, Mr. Speaker, is pwede talagang mangyari na ang batas magsabi 10% lang ang kapital ng foreigner, pero 100% ang share niya sa governing body. That's absurd. That is the specific question, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, unfortunately,